When Avanti West Coast took over the West Coast Main Line in December 2019, it inherited one of the most important railway operations in Britain. The company replaced Virgin trains on the intercity West Coast route, operating services linking London with Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, North Wales, and Scotland. Avanti is run by First Group and Trenitalia under the West Coast Partnership, a contract that also tied into long-term planning for future HS2 services. On paper, it looked like a major new chapter for one of Britain's flagship train operators. The West Coast Main Line is not just another railway. It is a spine of the national network, carrying business travellers, tourists, commuters, and long-distance passengers between some of the UK's biggest cities. Any company running it is under constant pressure, constant scrutiny, and constant comparison with what came before. In its early period, Avanti faced a brutal set of challenges. It began operating only a few months before the COVID-19 pandemic turned the entire railway industry upside down. Like every operator, it had to deal with collapsing passenger numbers, changing travel patterns, and major uncertainty across the network. But Avanti's real reputational crisis came later, in 2022, when its timetable was drastically reduced after what the government described as a near-total collapse in drivers volunteering to work rest days. That left the company unable to resource its normal service, causing heavy disruption and many short-notice cancellations. That period did enormous damage to public confidence. For many passengers, Avanti became a symbol of everything frustrating about modern rail travel in Britain. Unreliable timetables, uncertainty over whether trains would run, overcrowding on the services that did operate, and difficulty making plans in advance. It was not simply that trains were delayed, it was that passengers felt they could not trust the service at all. Transport Focus research later reflected that sense of frustration, with Avanti scoring only 67% for passenger satisfaction on punctuality and reliability in 2024-25, well below the stronger performing operators. And yet, the full story is more complicated than simply calling Avanti a failure. After the worst of the 2022 crisis, the company did improve some of its headline figures. The Department for Transport said that by March 2023, the operator had made significant improvements, running 40% more services and reducing cancellations to 4.2%, which helped secure a further contract extension. In September 2023, the government then awarded Avanti a longer national rail contract, arguing that performance had improved enough to justify a more stable future, while still keeping the operator under close review. This is one of the key contradictions in the Avanti story. Officially, there has been a recovery narrative. Politically and operationally, Avanti has been presented as an operator that pulled itself back from a very serious collapse. But among passengers, the memory of the bad times has proved much harder to erase. Even where the figures improved, the reputation did not recover at the same speed. Looking at the numbers helps explain why opinions remain divided. According to the Office of Rail and Roads 2024-25 annual statistics for Avanti West Coast, only 39.9% of its trains were classed as on time, down from 43.5% the year before. Cancellations were 6.3%, which was slightly better than 6.9% in the previous year, but still far above the level passengers would want from a premium intercity operator. Over the same period, Avanti handled 34.9 million passenger journeys, so even a relatively small percentage problem affected a huge number of people. The complaints picture is just as revealing. ORR figures show Avanti closed 33,003 complaints in 2024-25 and processed more than 1.39 million delay compensation claims. That does not automatically mean every issue was the company's fault, because the West Coast Main Line is a complex railway affected by infrastructure failures, weather, industrial disputes, and wider network problems. But from a passenger's point of view, those distinctions often matter less than one simple question. Did the train run properly, and did I get where I needed to go on time? Passenger feedback gathered by Transport Focus gives a sense of how people actually feel. Some passengers complained of poor communication during delays, saying information was vague, inconsistent, or simply not good enough when things went wrong. Others highlighted overcrowding, arguing that expensive tickets did not always guarantee a seat or a comfortable journey. Those comments matter, because they show that customer opinion is shaped not just by punctuality statistics, but by the whole experience, information, comfort, crowding, and whether staff seem in control when disruption happens. Still, Avanti has had genuine positives. One of the biggest has been investment in its fleet. The company introduced its new Hitachi-built Evero trains, with Class 805 bi-mode units entering service in 2024 and Class 807 electric sets following later. Avanti says the new fleet is intended to provide more seats, modern interiors, and a better overall passenger experience, while helping support service increases on routes such as Liverpool and Birmingham. The Pendolino fleet has also gone through refurbishment, giving the operator a more modern image than in its earliest years. That is important because one of Avanti's strengths has always been the potential quality of its product when everything works as it should. Fast intercity trains, improved onboard environments, refurbished Pendolinos, new Evero units, first-class lounges, and a route network serving major destinations all give the operator the ingredients of a premium long-distance railway. In other words, Avanti has never lacked assets. What it has lacked too often is consistency, and perhaps that is the heart of the Avanti story. The highs are real: investment, fleet renewal, service recovery from the worst crisis period, and continued operation of one of Britain's most important rail corridors. But the lows are just as real: timetable cuts, cancellations, poor punctuality, industrial relations problems, and lasting damage to customer trust. Official bodies can point to improvement, but customers judge an operator by lived experience, not management language. So what do passengers think of Avanti West Coast? The answer is mixed, but clearly cautious. Overall journey satisfaction in the Transport Focus scorecard was 85%, which suggests many journeys are acceptable or even good, but satisfaction with punctuality and reliability was only 67%, and train overall satisfaction sat at 75%. That tells us something crucial. When Avanti gets people there comfortably, the experience can be decent. But reliability remains the weakness that drags everything else down. In the end, Avanti West Coast is a company that has spent much of its life trying to escape its own reputation. It took over a prestigious route with big ambitions, ran into extraordinary turbulence, suffered a serious public backlash, and then clawed back some ground through investment and partial operational recovery. Whether history judges Avanti as a troubled operator that improved, or as a brand that never fully won back the public, may depend on what happens next. But one thing is certain: on Britain's West Coast Main Line, performance is never judged in press releases. It is judged on the platform. And of course, the story of Avanti West Coast is still being written. Railways evolve constantly, shaped by investment, technology, politics, and the expectations of the passengers who rely on them every day. Whether Avanti can fully restore trust on the West Coast Main Line remains to be seen. What is certain is that this historic railway will continue to play a vital role in Britain's transport network for generations to come. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more in-depth stories about Britain's railways, locomotives, and transport history, please like the video, share it with fellow railway enthusiasts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support really helps the channel grow and allows us to keep producing more railway history and documentary content. And if you have travelled on Avanti West Coast yourself, I'd love to hear about your experience. Leave a comment below and join the discussion. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.